morning, class. So glad you're here. Yesterday we learned a bunch about how astronauts get trained for space, right? And what they do. So cool. Let's go ahead and do our welcome song. Ready? Stand up, sing out loud. Here we go. Oh, rise and shine and welcome to lab today. Rise and shine and welcome to lab today. Rise and shine and welcome to lab today. We're so glad you're here. A little faster. Oh, rise and shine and welcome to lab today. Rise and shine and welcome to lab today. Rise and shine and welcome to lab today. We're so glad you're here. Ooh, such an exciting day. Okay, we're going to talk about the moon make its own light. No, it doesn't make its own light. Do you remember that it's just a rocky sphere? It's just a big, round, rocky rock. It has craters, it has little mountains, but it's just a big rock there. And when we talked about how do we see it then, if it's not making its own light, it's because we see it when the sun is shining on it. It reflects the sun's light, right? Do you remember that song? Let's sing the song, and then I want to ask you about the phases of the moon. Okay, let's do our song. Ready? Look at the moon, look at the moon, out in space, out in space. It reflects the sun's light, it reflects the sun's light. See it shine, see it shine. Good, we're gonna do it one more time. Look at the moon, look at the moon, out in space, out in space. It reflects the sun's light, it reflects the sun's light. See it shine, see it shine. So the moon doesn't make its own light, does it? It's not a big ball of glowing gas like the sun, like the stars. And so it just reflects the sun's light. So let's say that this is the sun and it's shining light on the moon. From wherever we are on the earth, what we can see reflecting off of the moon, that's what we see at nighttime when we look up at the moon. So sometimes the earth blocks a little bit of it, and so it gets smaller and smaller. Sometimes it blocks it all the way. What do we call it if it's blocked all the way and we can't see it at all? Can you say new moon? New moon. But if we can see part of it, a little bit of it, what do we call that? Can you say crescent moon? Crescent moon. What if we can see the whole circle from where we are on the earth? What do we call that? A full moon, right? It's always so fun to see a full moon. So when we can see all of it from where we are, it's a full moon. So it's really cool, right? Now, do you remember what we call that force that's pulling us down to the earth all the time? If we throw something up in the air, it comes right back down, right? If we jump up in the air, what happens? We get sucked right back down, and that's called, everybody say, gravity. Gravity. Let's do our gravity song. Ready? Gravity is pulling down, pulling down, pulling down. Gravity is pulling down all around us. Take a ball and toss it high. Will it stay in the sky? Gravity will pull it down all around us. Okay, here's where we jump. Jump up high and down we'll go. There's a force down below. Gravity is pulling down all around us. Yes, yes, and gravity is awesome. We're so blessed to have gravity because we wouldn't want to fly right off the earth, would we? The earth is turning all the time. It's, what's the big word for it? Can you say rotating? It's rotating all the time and we don't want to fly off, right? If it was like on the moon, do we want to just be able to float all the time? I mean, it sounds really fun, but what if we couldn't get back to our house? What if we were floating and we got lost? Oh, so it's so awesome that we have gravity keeping us down. How long does it take for the earth to rotate? How long does it take for the earth to rotate? Everybody say 1 day. 1 day we go from daytime, and then when we can't, when we've got our backs to the sun, then it's nighttime. And then when we're facing the sun again, then it's daytime. So that's awesome. Let's do our orbiting the sun song. How long does it take for Earth to orbit the sun? How long does it take for us to go all the way around the sun? That's different than the Earth rotating. How long does it take to orbit the sun? Can you say 1 year? Ready? Okay, get your sun ready. And your Earth. The Earth orbits the sun. The Earth orbits the sun. Once a year, every year, the Earth orbits the sun. The Earth turns around. The Earth turns around. Once a day, every day, the Earth rotates. Yes, it's awesome. Okay, so yesterday, our last preschool day, we talked about how astronauts travel through space. Do you remember astronaut actually means space sailor? So they travel through space and they are collecting information so that the scientists can study more about space, right? What do you need to do to be an astronaut? Do you remember? Do you have to study? Yeah, what kind of classes do you have to take? Do you remember? Can you say math? They take a lot of math and they take space science. And they also have to learn how to survive if the space shuttle comes and glides back in towards the Earth, but it splashes in the ocean instead of landing on land. Then they have to be able to get out from under the parachute and swim up to the rescue boat, right? They have to know how to survive during a crash. Can they be really sick and go and be an astronaut? They have to be healthy. They have to be exercising a lot and strong. And even when they're out in space, they still have to exercise a bunch. So that's something they have to do to prepare to be an astronaut. Are you ready to do our planetary push-ups? Okay, here we go. Okay, ready? Are you guys ready for our push-ups? Okay, we're gonna start with Mercury, all 8 planets. Here we go. Oh, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune. Woo! We made it. Good job. Okay, let's do our solar stretches. Okay, are you ready? Up to the ceiling. Now you say up to the ceiling. Now down to the floor. Can you say down to the floor? Now right to the rocket. Right to the rocket. Left to the door. Left to the door. Again. Up to the ceiling. Up to the ceiling. Down to the floor. Down to the floor. Right to the rocket. Right to the rocket. Left to the door. Left to the door. Ooh, nice job. Okay, we've exercised. We're getting ready. We're getting close to our space voyage. Do you remember how the astronauts also had to practice weightlessness? And so how did they do that? Do you remember? That big, huge swimming pool. They would go down there, they would practice their maneuvers. They would pretend that it was like the space shuttle down there in the water. And they would do their job down in there. And they could do it feeling kind of like they didn't weigh very much. Kind of like when you're swimming in the swimming pool. That's kind of how it's like in space, right? So isn't that great that they can practice that and they get all ready for their space voyage? Okay, guys, I think we're ready for ours. Are you ready? The first thing we need to do is put our spacesuit on. Now, spacesuits are super important. They're huge, they're heavy, they're thick, but it's almost like you're in your very own little space shuttle because the big, thick spacesuit keeps you protected from the heat of the sun because do you remember when they're out there, it feels it's hotter than a big, huge fire. It's so hot and it protects them. And it also gets so freezing cold, colder than the North Pole. And so that keeps them warm too, both things. And do you remember out there, there's no air? So they have that big, huge backpack that has air in it. And so they have their helmet and the air is inside their helmet. And so they can breathe, they have air. If something broke with their helmet or they ran out of air, they wouldn't have any air to breathe and they wouldn't be able to stay alive. So that is like their very own, their spacesuit is like their very own space shuttle. It's so awesome. So let's put ours on. Whoosh. Get your arms in. Your helmet. The helmet has a big silvery front because the sun has a big glare and it helps with the sun's glare. Okay, we're on. Now it's time to walk into the space shuttle. Let's go on the space shuttle. Ooh, we're going up the steps. There's so many buttons and so many control panels, but we've been practicing in the big swimming pool, so we know how to work all the buttons, right? So we get on in, and it's time for blast off. Are you ready? 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blast off! We're jetting up. The rocket blast us up through the atmosphere. Oh, it's bumpy. We're bumping through the atmosphere, but we got through it. Oh, and now we're in deep space. Luckily, there's still some gravity. It's gonna keep us right in close to the Earth. It's gonna keep us going around the Earth. But now we're in a state of weightlessness. Can you feel it floating? Can you feel the floatiness? Okay, we're going around and around and around. We're going so fast still. We're orbiting the Earth now on this mission. And I can get all the way around the Earth in the space shuttle in about an hour and a half. Isn't that crazy? So I see 16 sunrises, 16 sunsets in one day when I'm in my space shuttle. Very cool. But I'm starting to get a little bit hungry. What am I gonna do for food? What do they do? It used to be that they ate the grossest food. It was all dehydrated. That means they sucked all the water out of it and they would have to eat it dry or they would add water. Now it's mostly just packaged in plastic and they put it on a Velcro tray to keep it. If they didn't have the Velcro tray, would their little dinner just float away? Oh, yes, and they wanted to be able to eat it, so they have it right there and they unpackage everything and they eat it and they eat it. Some things they can add a little bit of water to, but most of it's pretty good these days. Not too bad. And if I run out of supplies, if I run out of food, another astronaut can come bring me supplies in another little space shuttle. Now, what about drinking? If I had a cup, the water or the liquid could just float away. So no cups on the space shuttle, right? Just stuff like Capri Sun type of thing, where they have a pouch with a straw, and they suck the straw, and they get the liquid in the straw, and then they throw that garbage away. They have to bring home all their garbage, and they have to bring all their food. So it's kind of like a Capri Sun. So they would definitely have to have a pouch and with a straw, and just suck it out. Otherwise, their things could just float away. They get snacks packed too. They unwrap their snacks, and their snacks can just float, and they'll grab them and eat them. Isn't that crazy? Okay, so I'm doing my work, and I just finished. It's time for bed. How am I gonna sleep in this space shuttle? Did you know that astronauts sleep in sleeping bags? They get strapped into their sleeping bags, and so if it's time to sleep, I would float up to my sleeping bag, and I would climb into my sleeping bag, and I would strap myself in so that I could not float away while I'm sleeping. And then I would sleep, and then I would wake up, and I would unstrap myself, and I would go about my day. I would eat my breakfast. Now it's time for a spacewalk. Now, to do a spacewalk means I want to go out and kind of explore deep space a little bit, but I'm floating. And so if I'm not always holding on to something that's connected to the space shuttle, I could get lost and left out in deep space. So let's get into our space suit again, and we're gonna go outside the space shuttle, and we're gonna climb out on the outside, and we're gonna just check things out, all of our equipment over here, and we're holding on. There's a rope that's connecting me, and I'm just gonna come out here and look and see what's out here and fix a couple of things. And then I'm going to come back in, and it's time for me to go back home. So I'm gonna have to hold on tight, because as we voyage back, it's kind of like when they leave NASA and they blast off, it's kind of like a jet pushing them up. But when they come back, they glide down, and gravity pulls them faster and faster, and they go back through the atmosphere, and they're headed straight for the Earth, and splash! Oh, we landed in the water. Oh my goodness, but that's okay. I'm moving my parachute, and I'm up at the top of the water, and I can breathe, and look, there's our rescue boat. They came to pick us up, yay! And we're back, everyone's so happy to see us. Yay, what a great space voyage that was. Oh my word. Let's sing our astronaut song, are you ready? Floating in the bathtub, swimming in the pool, I'm getting ready for astronaut school. Floating in the bathtub, swimming in the pool, I'll be an astronaut 'cause I'm so cool. Her diet's no good, she wants to go to space with me. She thinks she can eat all she wants, and float around weightlessly. Oh, floating in the bathtub, swimming in the pool. I'm getting ready for astronaut school. Floating in the bathtub, swimming in the pool. I'll be an astronaut 'cause I'm so cool. My daddy hates to exercise. Push-ups just make him wheeze. If he went to space with me, he'd look like Hercules. Oh, floating in the bathtub, swimming in the pool. I'm getting ready for astronaut school. Floating in the bathtub, swimming in the pool. I'll be an astronaut 'cause I'm so cool. Awesome! I love that, and I think being an astronaut would be so exciting. It would be kind of dangerous, but it would be awesome. Wouldn't it be so exciting to be able to explore space a little bit? It's been so fun to learn all about it. What does astronaut start with again? Astronaut. Astronaut. It starts with an A. So we have gotten a few letters now. Let's see which ones we have. Higgledy-piggledy bumblebee. Can you say the sounds with me? Ah, 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 ah. Like astronaut or alligator. I hope you've been practicing these with your mom too, not just with me. Higgledy-piggledy bumblebee. Can you say the sound with me? Like moon or marshmallow. Higgledy-piggledy bumblebee. Can you say the sound with me? Whoop, 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 whoop. Like world or Winnie the Pooh. Higgledy-piggledy bumblebee. Can you say the sound with me? Like sun or star. Good. Higgledy-piggledy bumblebee. Can you say the sound with me? T, 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 t. Like telescope or tummy. Okay. Higgledy-piggledy bumblebee. Can you say the sound with me? Oh, 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 oh. Like lion or lemon. Okay, so we're back to the beginning. So we have a, we have we have w, we have we have t, and we have o. That is a lot that you have so far. I hope you've been practicing with your mom. Ask her, say, Mom, can I practice my sounds? Because we want to know these really, really, really fast. Okay? So if you look at them right away, you should know what it is. Okay? So this, I'm trying to think of something that starts with A. We know astronaut, right? And alligator. There's also a lot of other ones like asteroid or Alaska. Okay, I have a few objects that I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you a picture of it. I'm going to show you the thing. And I want you to tell me what it starts with, okay? Here is some soap. Soap. What does soap start with? Does soap start with A? Does soap start with Is it mope? No. Does soap start with a whoop? Or does soap start with a soap? Yes, if that's what you thought, do a thumb up. Nice job. Okay, so that was soap. What about this? Can you tell what this is? Toothbrush. What does toothbrush start with? Toothbrush, does it start with an brush? No. What a toothbrush. Is it a mooth brush? A wooth brush? Or a sooth brush? Or a toothbrush? Good. Okay. What about my salt? What does salt start with? Alt, malt, walt, salt. Salt. If you thought then good job. Okay, what about this one? My water bottle. Water bottle. Point to what it starts with. Does it start with a water bottle? Is it a totter bottle? Is it a solder bottle? Is it a water bottle? Yes, good. If you pointed to the right one, give yourself a pat on the back. Okay, what about this marker? Marker. What does it start with? Marker. Point to the thing that marker starts with. Is it a larker? Or a tarker? A sarker? A worker? A marker. If you pointed to the then good job, you were right. Marker. What about this? This is a towel. It's a little doll, a towel for a little doll. Towel. What does towel start with? Does towel start with owl? No. A mowl? Is it a mowl? Is it a wowl? Is it a sowl? Is it a towel? Towel starts with t. If you pointed to t, then good job, you were right. Okay, I just have one more. Are you ready? This is my spoon. What does spoon start with? Does spoon start with moon? No, this isn't a moon. Are you pointing to what spoon starts with? Does spoon start with a wound? Does spoon start with tune? Does it start with loon? Spoon starts with a good job. If you got that right, pat yourself on the back. Nice job. Okay, now we are going to practice a brand new thing called blending. We haven't done this before, but we have, now that we know our that's called a vowel. An sound is a vowel sound, and the vowel sounds are ones that kind of string the other sounds together. So now we have enough that we can start to read some things together. We're gonna blend them together, slide them together. So the first one we're gonna do, we're gonna start with this a. Can everyone say ah? And I'm gonna put another sound here next to it. Here's another sound. What's this sound? So we have two of our sounds that we know now. We've got an a and a but we are going to slide them and lock them together. Are you ready? We always go this way. See how my arrow is pointing that way? We always blend and slide and lock that way. So let's start with this one. Everyone say, So see how they can slide together? We're gonna go a little faster. Ooh, that is actually a word, right? I could say, I am happy. Am is a word. Very good, so you read a word. Nice job. Let's do it one more time. What does it say? And then it goes to a, our first sound we learned, a t, a, and a t. Now we're going to slide them together. We're going to lock them together. Ready? You can take your finger and you can just air slide with me if you want to under the a and the t. And we're going to lock it. Ready? At, at, at. I am at my home. At. So that's another word that you read. And we just lock those sounds together if they're next to each other. Now, these ones are real words, but it's good to practice even with things that aren't real words. It can be just a silly thing. It can be nonsense. Everybody say, it's okay if it's nonsense. It's okay if it's nonsense. We are going to, I'm going to erase this, and let's try another couple of words, okay? So we have a ol. We learned a ol from earlier, a few days ago. And what's this? Our a. Let's slide them. Ola. 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 Oh, that's not really a word, but it says, that's what it says, la. What about this? Let's slide these. T. Ah. A little faster. T. Ah. T. Ah. T. Ah. Ta. 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 That's not really a word, but that's what it says. So you're reading things that are right next to each other. Okay. What about, we'll do one more. Are you ready? Let's do, let's do one more. And this one actually is going to be a real one. Are you ready? And then, what's this sound? Okay, let's blend them together. We're going to lock them. What does this say? Do you remember that sound again? As. 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 As is a real word. As. He is as tall as a flagpole. As. So even with just those ones that you know, you can be reading. You're doing so great. Good job. Oh, astronauts, it was a great space voyage. I had a great time with you. Okay, everybody say, I work hard. I work hard. I am awesome. I am awesome. We'll see you next time.